Good afternoon, everyone. 3:30, so I think we're ready to roll. We're just missing one of our panel members. Oh, there she is. Mr. Clerk, are we all ready to go here? Can everybody hear me?
We're all good. Yes, Mr. Chair, we're good to go.
Thank you. So good afternoon again. I'm John Irving. I'm chairing the Development Permit Panel today, and on the panel as well we have Cecilia Sham, General Manager of Community Safety, and Milton Chan, our Director of Engineering. The panel here deals with issues of form, character, lighting, access, parking, things like that. We do not deal with issues of use and density, which Council addresses during the zoning process. So with that, I think we have a fairly quick agenda today, but looking at our first item here, if everybody's good with the previous minutes, can I get a motion to adopt those from the meeting of November 24th? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Right. Then the item that we do have on the agenda today, the development permit 2091-0008 at 10431 number 5 road. And it looks like we have Mr. Law here prepared for presentation. If you could just please introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your presentation on the application.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Eric Law from Eric Law Architect. I'm the project architect for this project, and I'm going to do a short architectural presentation. Then Donald, he will be doing a landscape presentation afterwards. Donald is our landscape architect. Okay, let me share the screen now. So hope that everybody can see the screen now. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, let me start with the background for this project. This is a pretty simple and small project, and it involves only a lot along number 5 road, which is right now a single family house within this site. The program is to subdivide this into 2 lots, and then each lot will have a duplex on their own lot, so creating a total of 4 dwelling units within this site. And the zoning is going to be a compact duplex lot, compact lot zoning. So as you can see from this screen here, basically is the lot is fronted onto number 5 road, which opposite is agricultural land. And next to it is basically it's all single family house, 2-story single families along the frontage. What we propose is basically we will do this lot will be divided into 2 more narrower lots. Each one will have a back and front duplex on each side. As you can see from these images, you can see the 2 buildings on each side, with a central shared common walkway between these 2 buildings. So this will become an entrance to the back unit on the back, and the front they have their own porch on the front. So this form is basically to be in context with the surrounding neighbor single family house. As you can see from this image here, they're all 2-story high, pitch roof, residential image with the windows. All these are consistent and with the context and the neighbor. The massing height, all those are also matching the surrounding area. As you can see from this image showing that this all merging with the surrounding area, neighbor building house with the architectural elements like the windows, door, porch, those are things. Is really similar to each side, and is residential in context and nature. And the color is also trying to use an earth tone color. As you can see from this image, it's beige, dark, and gray, and then you got variation from the front, creating a different porch and covered porch and balcony, those sort of things, so that it doesn't become a total mirror of the house. And as you can see from the floor plan here, we got a central walkway, shared walkway between these two house duplex. This is the front unit. This is the back unit. This is the front unit. This is the back unit. The back units, all the back units are designed to cater for future disabled use. Like we allow for widen the stair to allow for the chair lift along the stair, and the size of the units is allowed for wheelchair accessible in the future, so that they can become convertible unit right now. And each unit will have a garage for each unit, as well as one open parking space for each unit. I think this is the requirement according to the zoning bylaw requirement for this particular zoning compact lot requirement. And you can see the second floor is basically also with two front and back units, and the front and the back, and dividing into 4 units. So basically, in concept and in the design of this architectural layout, basically is very similar to a single-family house, but with a more higher density, so that each lot has basically originally one single lot. Now you can accommodate with 4 units right within the site. Now I can ask Donald to do a presentation of the landscape. Donald?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Eric. So the landscape is actually designed to provide to meet a number of objectives here. Eric's done a fine job of showing you the architecture, and I'm in fact doing my best to hide the architecture from the street, or more accurately to buffer the residents and the from the number 5 road. So we have at the frontage a fairly strong and diverse selection of plant material, which is largely evergreen, including a number of trees. We are favoring native material in general, and the objective is not so much to reduce color through minor seasonal flowerings, though these do occur, but rather to produce flower interest through variations in texture in both foliage and bark. We have plant materials which have a variety of colors to them, such as the golden leaves, the euonymus, the dark colors of the vaccinium. So what I am hoping is that we will have nice, secure, and comfortable areas in front of the units that can be inhabited by the residents of those front units, which will provide some separation, some sense of privacy from the adjacent road. Now, clearly in a compact development of this kind, there is the walkway between is a somewhat, how shall we say, it's a little tight, and so the effort here has been to provide a ground plane, which is interesting. Again, it has some flowering material, some different textures, designed to give you a sense that you're walking through something which is friendly and green, not entirely a built development. And then as we move around to the rear yards, if you will, the private spaces for the back gardens, we had, of course, the question of what's going to work there, because there's going to be some limited sunlight because of the massings of the adjacent structures. And so we've gone with a permeable hard surface with large pavers, which will, of course, work well with an accessible unit, and it'll get around the problems of potentially wet and poor performing lawns in that area. Having said that, I still wanted to provide a goodly amount of green, And you can see here that we have vine maple. Again, we have some of the vaccinium, the evergreen huckleberry, if you will, some sword ferns, and a hedging wall of hedging yew with sword fern below. Again, sword fern being another native plant material. So we're trying to create a nice green box where our residents can spend a nice summer day. And certainly, I think, given the heat dome that we experienced this summer, this kind of a shady refuge will probably be quite welcome. And then finally, moving around to the rear, we have again provided some trees and low shrubbery to soften the look of the adjacent garages and help to blend it into the lane area. There were a couple of existing trees there. They're not in particularly good condition. We had looked at the possibility of rerouting the driveways to preserve them, but when we looked at the geometries of vehicles moving in and out, it seemed to me that the trees were likely to become a hazard and potentially could lead to more than a few bent bumpers. So, regrettably, we are recommending the removal of these two trees. The drawing, as you can see, has illustrations of the various plant material proposed down below. The color coding on the plan gives a general indication of the feature colors associated with each plant material. I don't know if there's a great deal more that I need to say about all of this. Of course, I'm open for questions.
Right. Mr. Duggan, I can't see you. Do you have your camera on?
I do not, but I can certainly turn my camera on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you. This is a public process, so we're trying to create a facsimile of the live experience to the extent possible. Thank you.
Fair enough. Although I will say that having a view of my face may not necessarily be considered an optimal public experience.
We'll take that under consideration. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That concludes the presentation.
I believe it does, unless Eric, you have anything to add?
Yeah, just one thing for this house about the energy. This duplex will be designed to meet the step code free requirement, and we are proposing to have the company energy saving company hot boiler and heating system together for all the units here.
Great, thanks. Staff comments, Mr. Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of comments. The project does include the retention of one tree along the number 5 road frontage. The retention of that tree does drive some unique access requirements along the central pedestrian connection to the units. I'd like to commend the applicant on their efforts to retain that tree and the special mitigation measures required to achieve that. Lastly, the improvements to the lane, including driveway orientations and landscaping opportunities, will be further reviewed through the servicing agreement associated with this project. Through that servicing agreement, we will be looking for opportunities to include tree planting in addition to the lawn that is shown in the package before you.
Thank you. Questions from the panel?
If I may, Mr. Chair, a couple of questions. One is can you just talk about the tree replacement ratio? I assume it is meeting bylaw requirement.
Yes, it is.
And is there any opportunity to upsize a couple of the trees that you are putting in?
Well, of course, there's always the opportunity to upsize the trees. The difficulty I often have is that as we, particularly now with the tremendous amount of development and the drain on nurseries, quite often as we look at upsizing the trees, we end up having a selection of specimens which are less than optimal. There is also, with increasing size, the potential for lesser, greater problems with survivability. I, of course, am all in favor of nice big trees, but I would prefer to put in a tree of the best quality rather than a larger tree which is maybe not as fine a specimen. So.
Thank you. I do appreciate the difficulties in getting plant material at this point in time. And final question on the landscaping is there's quite a lot of paving material. What amount of it is pervious versus impervious?
Well, the pervious material includes the walkway and the area. Well, in fact, it's the majority of it is pervious. It includes the walkway, central walkway, and the two patios, which would be just made up of larger paver slabs, which would allow water to infiltrate between. Given the tight quarters involved in some locations, we felt that it was optimal to deal with rain water in situ rather than have it concentrate. So certainly this material will allow that. I don't foresee that we should have any particularly large areas of non-infiltration, non-pervious material, with the exception of the driveways.
So are the tandem parking spots behind the garages, are those pervious pavings as well? I
believe those are, if you'll bear with me just a moment while I just review that, I believe that we had gone with, yes, there is pervious paving provided for the tandem, but we do have the driveway areas beyond, which we envision as being asphalt.
Okay. I think that concludes my questions for now, and it would be nice if there's some opportunity to minimize the paving. I know it's not your land on the city property, but I'll let the engineers weigh in on that.
Mr. Chan, any comments or questions?
Just one. I think it was brought up at the advisory design panel as well, but just looks like the rear units don't really have access to any grass area. Any comments on that?
Well, I'd considered the possibility of adding grass area, but my experience is that when you have grass with limited access to sunlight, you tend to end up with a muddy mess. That, in combination with these units being potentially accessible and the issues with wheelchair wheels or walkers on unstable surfaces, I felt that a hard surface, a hard walking surface, would work best in these locations. However, although the surface itself is hard surface, there is substantial greenery surrounding the space. So I feel that the sense that one will have in that space is of being surrounded by a garden, even if one isn't walking on lawn.
Thank you.
Just picking up on some of the other comments and discussion too, it is a bit of an odd configuration with the lane at the back, and I appreciate that there's been some presentation and thought put into preserving those two existing trees in the lane. It seems to me that should be achievable, and you know, I appreciate that through the servicing agreement there'll be detailed design to come with in terms of the exact configuration of the driveways. But what's presented here seems to maximize the amount of asphalt, and I think there's an opportunity here to maybe swing the driveways to the north so that they hit the laneway at 90 degrees and create, either preserve that existing tree to the south or create a larger landscape space there in the laneway that could accommodate more plantings. Not sure why that couldn't be achieved. I don't know that, and I can't certainly quote the bylaws and regulations that we have, but I don't know that you know, we need to have a full 4-lane throat width accessing the laneway. Certainly if that can be reduced in any manner or swung to the north to create more green space in the laneway and the opportunity to plant trees, that's what we should be doing. So I don't know if there's any comments on that, but perhaps that can be taken under advisement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We will take that under advisement and work with engineering and transportation through the servicing agreement detailed design to maximize opportunities for lawn and tree planting in that lane area.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody from the public here who wishes to comment?
There's none, Mr. Chair.
And any letters?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
Okay, panel deliberation. Maybe I'll kick that off. I mean, you know, appreciate some of the elements here and the thought that have gone into landscape design, and it certainly does look to conform in terms of character with the neighborhood. So with those terms of advisement with regards to the laneway driveway access, I'd be happy to support the staff recommendation.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. And this is one of those rare cases in Richmond that there's lane access, which allows front and back duplex, which is unusual. So from a streetscape perspective, while these buildings are narrower than the adjacent property, it is nice to not see a big parking area in the front yard, and it does work really well with the neighborhood. So I'm also happy to support it.
I would just agree with those comments.
Great. So we have a staff recommendation, positive recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Duncan and Mr. Law.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So I don't believe we have any new business, and the date of the next meeting would be January 26, 2022. That seems very close already.
Mr. Chair, we have no items for the meeting on the 26th. It would be in order for the panel to pass a motion canceling that meeting.
Excellent. Do I have a motion to so cancel that meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting canceled. So maybe we'll see you in February.
All right. See you then.
To adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.